Do I have a motion to return from executive session for interviewing candidates?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilwoman Bettina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. The town board, again, for full disclosure, we advertised that we were meeting at 5 o'clock to start interviewing for engineering and planning services, open town positions, and now we are starting the public session of the meeting. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to rise and salute of the flag. Following that, we will be having an invocation from Pastor Nathan Robinson of Chapel Falls Fellowship. And then following that, we will have a moment of silence in memory of New Hackensack Fire Commissioner Roderick McLeod. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor, would you like to come to the podium? Please remain standing.
Good evening. Let's bow our hearts. Our gracious and heavenly Father, we thank you for establishing this nation and this great community. As our founding fathers began each meeting looking to your throne, we ask this evening for your blessing, your wisdom, and guidance for our board as they consider the business of all of the issues and requests before them. May they all be blessed as they work together to bring a future, hope, unity to this community. And may you grant them great vision for the days ahead and every spiritual blessing. We thank you for each of them, for their staff and their families. We also ask, in light of this evening's storm, that you would please watch over and bless our highway department, EMS services, as they work to keep our roads and people safe. Please go before us this evening as we ask this in the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you could please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Robinson. Your words always speak so dearly to us, and we greatly appreciate your partnership and friendship to our community. Thank you. And folks, as we noted, New Hackensack Commissioner Rod McLeod has been a pillar in this community for well over 50 years. Until his passing, was one of the top responders in our Wappinger community to the New Hackensack Fire Company. Not only did he serve our great town, but he also served a number of other fire districts and governmental agencies and legal advice and assistance. Our thoughts and prayers are with Rod's wife Karen and their family during this time. And again, earlier when he passed, we did direct the flags to be at half staff throughout the town in his memory. With that, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilwoman Bettina. Discussion. One note we'd like to bring up is that I would like to table Resolution 2024-71. That is the decommissioning bond on the solar farm out on Myers Corners Road. I feel that we need to obtain more information and potentially renegotiate what was done by the prior administration. But do I have a motion to table that?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilwoman Bettina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much. And now to adopt the revised agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the revised agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Casella, second by Councilwoman Bettina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the minutes of January 22nd, 2024?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bettina, second by Councilman Casella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Folks, at this time, we have our public portion. We ask that you come up, state your name and address for the record on any agenda items. You will be given 3 minutes. we have anyone wishing to, well, first, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to open the public, the
Moved by
public portion,
Councilwoman
please.
Bettina,
I'll second that.
second by Councilman Casella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? If anyone is wishing to speak on agenda items only. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the
I'll
public
make a
portion?
motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Casella, second by Bettina. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we were approached by our good friends to the south, the town of Fishkill. They have liaison ships to the various municipalities and agencies that affect their town, and we are honored to have both Councilman Brian Rye and Councilman Greg Totino to join us today, and they'd just like to give a brief welcome and introduction from the town of Fishkill. Gentlemen, if you could come up to the podium.
It is indeed an honor to be here, and thank you very much. I'll take my hat off, a rare occurrence. This is part 2 for me. In the first term, we attempted to work together. Things fell apart. There wasn't time, et cetera, but here we are. I'm beginning a fresh 4-year term, and so are you, Supervisor Cavassini, and with the relationship we've had in the past, I look forward to working with you. What can that be? That certainly is left to the imagination as we go forward. But I will say, I know that we have joint issues that we could work on potentially and see how potentially we could attack, the traffic situation on 99D. Those are obviously of great concern to both municipalities here. In addition to that, I'm just going to plant this seed, but potentially we could have some sort of interactive joint drive of some nature and make it an annual event. That would be good to bring some unity to both of our towns. My wife is constantly in the village at County Players. She's on the board and does a lot of productions there. She's in rehearsal right now. We pass through Wappinger all the time, and you pass through Fishkill, and I just think this is a great opportunity for us to try to come closer together, because your community is magnificent. We know it, and we love our citizens as well, and I think this is just going to be a fun journey to try to work together. Look forward to seeing you all a lot more in the future.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilman Rye. Councilman Totino.
Just add a couple personal notes. It is a pleasure to join you in public service. Supervisor, we've of course been friends for a number of years, but to have the opportunity to work alongside you in further initiatives that'll benefit both Wappinger and Fishkill. We've spoken extensively about the issue pertaining to traffic, particularly along the 9D corridor and along the Route 9 corridor as well. And as the two of us do both sit now on the Dutchess County Transportation Council, it's good to know that we'll have an ally when it comes to matters particularly furthering the county's commitment that they gave us this past year to looking into the situation on the 9D corridor, both as it pertains to vehicle traffic and the possibility of expanded public transportation, which I think we both recognize as something that our municipalities would both benefit from. We share a history, of course, Wappinger having been part of the town of Fishkill prior to your establishment in the 1870s. I don't need to tell you about this. You know best about history of anyone here in the room. But as we approach America 250, and as our two richly historical towns have an opportunity to work together to advance the preservation and the promotion of the history which we both own and that we share together as well, I think we'll have a great opportunity for partnership, and I certainly look forward to that. But you, of course, we were here for your inauguration last month. Your remarks echoed a lot of the values that are in place in the town of Fishkill government and have been for a few years. Particularly, we're talking about preserving residents' quality of life, advocating for intelligent, responsible development that preserves quality of life, that looks after our natural resources and green spaces, enhances recreational opportunities. Those are ambitions that our municipalities share, and I think that could well lay the groundwork for opportunities for us to move in together on things like grant opportunities, whether that be for water or sewer infrastructure or for potential recreation enhancements that would do benefits for residents in both of our communities. The possibilities really are endless, and I know that I speak for the entire Fishkill Town Board when I say that we are looking forward to getting to work.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Councilman.
Thank you.
And I think I speak for my colleagues on the town board here. We are excited to build on our relationship, and thank you folks for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
With that, we have a few other discussion items before us this evening. Mr. Brian Kolb from Carnwath Community Farming is going to come give us an update. Mr. Kolb has reached out to, I believe, majority of the board about potentially expanding the great venture that they have out at Carnwath Farms to offer an amazing agricultural asset to our residents and to the community at large. We have a presentation, and we're going to set that up real quick. But would Mr. Kolb like to give a presentation or at least an introduction?
Hi, everybody. Good to be here again in front of the board. A few members short. We're just going to give a brief update what we've been doing at Carnwath in our community farming program. We're going into our second season of growing. What else do I have? We right now host 10 community plots for residents, and yeah, we'll just get.
Just let me know when you want to flip.
Yeah, we'll just get started. You can flip it. The plot provided was 1 acre by the town. This is what it looked like when we got a hold of it. Overgrown. I believe the project sat stagnant for 3 or 4 years prior to us getting involved. We have a passion for growing, we have a passion for doing things in our community, and we thought this would be a good fit for our family to partake. Next slide. This is what we have now. We have 1 acre of utilized property for the town of Wappingers. We have 10 community plots. We have provided each individual tenant with water in a infrastructure project that we did. We are working with other community programs. The Burbank Garden Club out of Fishkill has planted up there, and they have brought us seeds and have started our pollinator gardens, and we're just going to continue to grow them. And we collected seeds this fall, and we put into our community seed bank. Another thing that we're taking on, in partnership with Grinnell Library in the village of Wappinger, we'll be opening up a community seed bank. I believe we're shooting for April. We did a community seed swap last month, which was extremely successful. My wife and a few other volunteers worked really hard to put it on. We probably had 150 residents come out. They brought their own seeds. We had donations, Adams Fairacre Farms, Sunny Gardens, tons of community support and all of that. So within the first year, we've been extremely successful in reaching out to community partners and growing. We have a waiting list of probably 40 to 50 residents that would like plots up there as well. But we face a few challenges that we see that we dealt with last year, and we can talk about those guys. All right, so the next steps we feel, it's kind of out of order, but we would like to expand our lease. The lease right now is that 1 acre plot, and the accessible land that we have when we measured out is about 10 acres up there. That opens us up to tons of farming grants, farming partnerships with other communities. We talked to Glenwood, who approached us about doing bird nesting areas, bee areas, and so that 10 acres, we want to move the community plots to the lower portion in Carnwath, which will provide parking and better access for our tenants. We had 10 tenants last year, and we lost 7 due to mainly access restrictions. It's very difficult to get to the site. Sorry, my mouth is really dry. And we just want to continue to grow. I think we have the backing from our supporters. The other community volunteers we have are just jumping at the gun to grow and build the community up there for gardening, gardeners, farming, agro-tourism, to get some events that go along with our growing. And that's what we're shooting for.
Excellent. I think it's all good so far. Yeah.
We drew up a little map, what we're thinking of. Towards the right of the screen, you can kind of see the outlying dimension of the mansion. The top section of that, I kind of have scribed lines, is a parking lot. That parking lot would be utilized to enter into the community gardens, which gives you about a 50-foot walking trail, easy access, access for everybody, that would need it. And then continue our gardening and growing. We've laid out about a 4-year plan of what we think we can grow in a reasonable, usable timeline for all the residents and to access up there. We have some feedback from a survey that we sent out. Just the neighbors in general, the plot neighbors were respectful, helpful, fun. The community, it's a great creating community with our hometown park. The soil was great for growing and the sun. And the location is peaceful and calming. Every resident couldn't get enough. People would just go up there and just sit in the garden. It's a great place to be.
It's a beautiful property.
Cons from the gardening. Mainly, it came down to access, parking, terrain, and then not that we're not working on it, but weed suppression. It was, again, overgrown parcel that just took a lot. So these first-year tenants, they dealt with a lot. The ones who stuck with it got great harvests. They were successful, and they're excited to be back. And the new ones we have starting this year are excited to do it as well. So we're looking forward to it.
I think it's all wonderful. I think it's going to help the community. It gets people together, working towards a goal. This is a beautiful area. It's a beautiful property there. I think you guys have done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I've heard nothing but positive things. The gardeners out there, I mean, I think this gives us an opportunity to go out there and try our hands, so to speak. I have a few people that were extremely excited about the garlic. They're like, really? I said, yes, yes.
So we planted,
Ted-
our first season, we did 500 cloves of garlic.
Yeah.
And from that, we had a very successful week
Oh,
last year.
I can imagine, yeah.
And we did a 100% transplant. So
Yeah, and
this
I
year we
think
have
that's great.
1,500 bulbs of garlic in, and hopefully we can do a community event around it.
A garlic festival.
Garlic festival.
Let's make it happen, Brian.
Yep.
But I
make
think
it happen.
The other thing, I think it's important where people can sign up to partake in this. Maybe we can incorporate it into our webpage
Yep.
and really, blast it out there saying, come see if you want to plot, if you want to reserve a plot, or maybe have a workshop.
So we have an active webpage that we've
Good.
developed. Our social media, Courtney does all of.
And we've been sharing it on the town website as well.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah, if you
shared
can
on the
get it
town
out
website,
there on
yeah.
the town website,
Yep.
especially
And the town TV channel, too, we had it.
when,
yeah.
I mean, show pictures of everything that's growing, and, I just think it's such a positive thing that
Yeah.
you've done and brought to the community.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, working together has been
Yeah.
great.
How's the wild animals, like the rabbits and stuff? Are they devouring anything?
No, it's been great.
Good.
We have a
Property's
I
big
have
enough.
issues with
we
my
have a-
The
yard.
property's big enough, the deer can find something else.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
red-tailed hawk community up there.
Ah,
think takes care of most of
There you go. Okay.
the pests.
Okay, thank you.
And the bald eagles, so.
But thank you, Brian, and as we've
think it's great.
spoken and talked to Courtney, we would obviously like to expand this project. Your revocable license agreement is up, so it's time to renegotiate it. And we now have new legal counsel in Michael Ligori. I believe it is the intent of the town board to move forward and look into the feasibility of expanding over time into that central meadow. We did talk about maintaining pedestrian access points and public access to the park, because that's very important. But again, I think that this is a fantastic use of the property and a great, great program for our residents.
And get our garden club involved.
Yes,
That is, that
I
would be
believe that the senior
fantastic.
center is
The
already
senior center,
engaged.
Are they
They're all-
part of this?
They're going to be making the tags, right?
yeah,
Or the
we're
signs?
making all our signage.
Good.
Next month, we're
Yay.
Senior Art
with
Club.
them, so.
Which, huge shout out to them.
And again, I think access is going to be
It
great for
is.
us,
It's-
including,
There's work that needs to be done, but
Yeah.
I think we're all going in the right direction.
absolutely.
So-
Getting a lot of
I think
things
it'll be
done.
really good.
Do you have a webpage that you can share? Because a lot of people probably don't know about your webpage and some of the things that you offer.
Yes, I believe it is just www.carnworthcommunityfarms.com.
Good.
Yes, it is.
And we'll
And we should get that out onto the
Exactly.
Facebook page for the town.
Yep, and we are on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sorry, my wife's not here tonight.
Courtney's the expert. We know it, Brian. It's all good. But you're doing a great job, and again, we will be sure to continue to promote what Carnwath Community Farming is doing. Obviously, we're going to have to come back and have another discussion on this when we move forward with the new revocable license agreement to adopt that. And of course, we'll make sure that we continue to engage and involve our community.
Yeah, I think it's just a plus for everybody. I really do.
Do you guys have any other questions for us or things that we can bring up?
I want seeds. I'm going to come
Seeds?
get some seeds.
Yep, so I believe April will be the
I'll contact you guys.
first Saturday in Wappingers. We'll be at
Okay.
Grinnell Library.
Okay.
Carnworth Community Farms will be hosting at Grinnell, and we'll be opening up the seed
Okay.
library.
Thank you.
So, and anytime, get in touch with us. We do have seeds.
You hear that, residents? You're more than welcome to. All right.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. We really appreciate the update. We'll be in touch.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Best to the family. Okay, and Councilman Casella, I believe that you wanted to talk about the Martsfield Lighting Improvement Project, something that we've talked about for quite some time, getting those light
Yes, that
towers
is
turned
correct.
back on.
I'll
So-
give Steve an opportunity to speak to it.
Yep. Mr. Frazier, Supervisor Buildings and Grounds.
Good evening. My foreman had gone over and done some tracing of the wires. We found the breaker panel that controls the lights. We do have confirmed that the wires are still intact, and we have power at every light pole. Some of the lights are not operating, but that is either a problem with the bulbs or the transformer. They're currently the high-pressure sodium bulbs, and that requires a transformer in order for them to operate, and that's usually a point of failure for that type of light. Also went over again when this came up in email, and found a second time after just 2 weeks of leaving it be that the mice had moved back into that breaker box again. So between that and the weather, they aren't weatherproof breaker boxes over there. I think that long term we should invest in a weatherproof electric panel, and then put new breaker equipment inside it. The stuff that's in there is aged. The mice have been at it, as well as the moisture. So there's some corrosion in there. We can get it to function, short term for now, as is. But I think, if you wanted to do this as a long-term project, we should invest in the proper equipment. Also consider converting those high-pressure sodium bulbs to LEDs. And the LEDs use about 1/3 of the power that the high-pressure sodium do, and are more reliable. Something you could also consider, the timer. We could time it 2 ways if you would like. We could put a parameter on the system itself where there's a time period that there's power available to a countdown switch. And then if, you do have players and they wanted to go over and activate the countdown switch, it would activate the lights, they'd go out automatically after a period of time, or if they go outside the allotted time period for the power. And that would be the most efficient way of running it, so you don't have lights left on, when no one's around.
And that's something that we had talked about with Councilman Casella. Martz Field is being used now more than ever.
Right.
I mean, with pickleball being a huge sport now, and the interest in volleyball and basketball, I definitely think that it is the intent of the town board to move forward on this now.
So we were actually out there a number of times, like you said, with your deputy, and we did get the lights to work a couple of times. As you said, the electrical box had to be cleaned up, mice and everything, they rust. But we did turn the breakers on. They worked. Every single light had at least, or every single pole had at least one light that worked. So what I'd like to do is, moving forward, get a timer in there for now, as long as you feel it's safe. If we put a new timer in there, because the timer there today does not work. If clean up the electrical box, clean up the breakers, then what we could do is actually physically use them. But in the meantime, long-term solution is replace the box, the breakers, get us an estimate on it. I don't think it's going to be a problem here with the town board. Again, pickleball players, it's a popular sport right now. A lot of people are out there playing. I was there out myself Saturday. But, as we start getting towards spring, summertime, people are going to want to play later at night. But again, we have to be courteous to those across the street, because again, you don't want those lights shining on their property either. So we'll find a happy balance there. But that's something we should look at. But short term, if you can get it to work now, that would be great with the timers, as long as it's safe. And then for the next, say, month or so, if you can get electrical box, new breakers, so it's, watertight, et cetera, that we can go out there and use it. And again, I prefer to have it set where we have, like at the lights at Robinson Lane, where you have a timer, they go on at a certain time, they go off at a certain time. I'd rather not have people are able to go out there and turn it on any time, because sometimes lights may be left on all night, so.
Well, they wouldn't be able to, though. Maybe I didn't explain it correctly. There would be a master timer,
Okay.
which would only allow electricity to the secondary timer during a certain time period that we set.
Yes.
So if somebody tries to turn the lights on outside of that allotted time period, it's not going to work.
Perfect.
Then the other thing, the upside of this is if nobody happens to be playing that night, you don't have the lights lit and glaring across the street. If a pickleball player comes and wants to use the lights, they'd walk over and turn on the countdown timer. And then, it would automatically go outside of that, the time zone that we've set.
So kind of like when you set up a jacuzzi, you turn the timer on and it's out.
Yeah, right, similar to that.
Got it.
That would be the best of both worlds. And
I think that's a good approach.
Because if we do just a single timer, you're going to have lights come on and off regardless of whether anybody's there to use them.
So if you could do it, when do you think you can make it operational?
I'm sorry?
If you could do it and put the timer in, how long do you think it would take to put that
Well,
in?
the timer, the end goal would probably take a few months to get underway because the contractors aren't available immediately.
How about in the meantime?
But the short term, we could, I could get what's going in there within a couple of weeks. Well, let me backtrack. Provided I can get the materials I need. Yes. I don't know what the market is today compared to what it used to be. But what I would recommend that we do is convert those bulbs to LEDs, because they're going to be the way to go in either case. Yeah. There's no sense in replacing, and it may involve having to replace transformers rather than just bulbs with the existing system.
So I was going to say, why don't you meet, I know that you have a electrical contractor that you typically work with. Why don't we start that ball rolling?
Yeah, we're supposed to get together this week over there. And
if we can get an estimate, a written estimate, that would be great for not only doing the box and the breakers, but also doing the lights.
Well, the lights we could do in-house, because we took care of it's the same job that we did
Same job you did with Robinson.
At Robinson, yeah.
Perfect.
We just would have to rent a lift. I'm going to need to rent a lift to go up and grab a bulb and look at what we're going to need to replace it, and then have to rent the lift on a longer term to do all the replacements.
Sounds good.
What about the rest of the parks in the town? Do they need to be replaced, the bulbs?
We don't really have lighting in very many of our parks.
But any of the
The
parks
lighting
that
we do
do,
have,
they should be replaced at the same time.
well, the majority of the lights we have outside of these two parks are owned by Central Hudson.
Okay, but if there's any other parks that have light bulbs that should be
Well,
changed?
they have been converted.
All of them?
Yeah, except for the area lights, which again, are generally owned by Central Hudson.
So can we also take a look, there's a basketball court over there as well. The lights haven't been
Right.
on in a long time. I'm not sure why it's not operational, but if we could take
We're
a
going to
look
have
at
to again
that.
search for the switch.
Yeah,
And then the other thing too is, sorry,
No, I was going to say, those look like older towers, but while we're having this conversation, we should definitely look at basketball and
Look at
volleyball.
everything.
and the pavilion there, because there's no lighting underneath the pavilion there from where I stand. So we
Okay,
should have
yeah,
lights at
absolutely.
the pavilion as well.
Since we're considering this, you're going to want to consider a rewrite of the park rules, because currently, park closes at dusk.
I believe Mart's Field, we gave some sort of, I remember writing this up, and the sign is different, because we also changed it that it's not dawn to dusk anymore.
Okay.
When we were writing these rules collectively, Jessica, you and I, we had said it was, sunrise to sunset, and then I also believe that I had factored in a special time for Robinson Lane, Carnwath, and Mart's. But we'll take a look at that, and, again, we need to upgrade the signage out there at
Yeah,
the
we can do that.
pickleball courts and everything, so I think that will be a comprehensive project, but at least we're starting the process, we're looking at it. I know that Steve and Buildings and Grounds have replaced a number of the lights throughout the parks to a very, very bright LED. I mean, if you go to some of the parks at night, which you shouldn't be, they are very, very bright. And so I'm sure that we'll do this as well. And again, if we do have any Central Hudson poles that need to be updated, please let my office know. We have a direct line of contact with Central Hudson to get those fixed. All right.
I do have a question, Steve. At the next town board meeting, could you bring an updated list of projects that are outstanding and projects that have been completed,
Yep, we put that together.
please?
Yep, thank you.
I have one more thing. I don't know if you want to do it, because he's probably going to leave after this. Maybe we should talk about items for special consideration. We have one we want to probably bring up now.
Steve, are you hanging around till the end of the
You
meeting?
hanging
It's
out to
just
the
a
end, or you wanna
resolution.
I can stay till, well, I'm not going to stay for the second.
No. So
session.
why don't we just, for process and procedure, I don't like moving the agenda all over the place. We'll just, Steve, you're good to go. We'll just call you back up under items for special consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Okay. So with that, we have our consent agenda. I will start this. Resolution 2024-65, resolution approving full salaries for Town of Wappinger employees. Resolution 2024-66, resolution promoting employee to a junior accountant. Resolution 2024-67, resolution to authorize the supervisor to execute memorandum of understanding with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Resolution 2024-68, resolution authorizing MJM Television and Video Productions to record the Dutchess County St. Patrick's Parade. Resolution 2024-69, resolution to authorize sale of abandoned vehicle. Resolution 2024-70, resolution authorizing installation of street lighting throughout the town of Wappinger. Resolution 71 was tabled.
Correct.
Resolution 2024-72, resolution honoring Black History Month here in the town of Wappinger. And Resolution 2024-73, approving the correspondence log. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept these resolutions
So
and
just
move them?
All right, we have a motion to accept.
Supervisor,
Yep.
can I make one comment?
Sure.
Well, let's do the motion second. Moved by Councilwoman Bettina.
So I just want to make a comment before I second it,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
So one of the resolutions out there, 2024-70, authorizing the installation of street lighting.
Yeah.
This is something that the supervisor has been trying to implement. I think it's a great opportunity here. We have a number of streets. In particular, this group here refers to those on All Angels Hill Road. So that would be Stonewall Drive, Pasadena, Astor Hill, Lane Gate, and a couple of other streets. I think it's a good program. Again, there's no lighting on those streets. As we see those things, as we did in the meeting on the 22nd, we came forward, I think it was on 9D and 9, where we put some streetlights out there again, and try to improve the visibility for the residents so they can see. So certainly that one was a good one to have. And then the other one's 69. which is the resolution to authorize sale of abandoned vehicles. Can we also, Steve Frazier, sorry to put you on the spot, can we also take a look at some of the other vehicles that are on the property, like the school buses, et cetera? Okay, yeah, because it only says a sale of abandoned vehicles, so we've got a couple out there we really need to take care of. Other than that, I'll make a motion to second this.
Moved by Councilwoman Bettina, second by Councilman Casella. Discussion, thank you, Councilman Casella, for that. And again, to piggyback off of the street lighting resolution there, again, this is something that we're really looking at for a public safety perspective. We have a number of developments and subdivisions that were put in over time that access state and county roads that never had any street lighting installed. They're very, very dangerous in terms of visibility, and with the increase in pedestrian traffic we've had throughout the town, this is important. I believe legal counsel has a note.
Yeah, just a minor comment on number 67.
Yes.
Resolution to execute the MOU with the MTA. It just requires a minor edit. That resolution indicates it still reflects an agreement that also incorporates the running of sleeves. It was, from what I can tell, from the correspondence between the parties prior to coming on board, that the MTA felt that incorporating the sleeve project into this agreement would cause difficulty with the grant, but they would agree to enter into a separate license agreement with the town to give you a window to put the sleeves in at that time.
Yep.
So I think this resolution should just be worded slightly different.
How would you recommend it, counsel?
Okay, so in the way it should read, I'm going to run from the third sentence that starts with transportation authority.
Yep.
I would put subject to entering into
Sorry.
a separate license agreement
Yep.
and then the sentence will just continue to run sleeves under the, and I think that would authorize you to sign the MOU as it currently is while I finish up working on a license agreement with them.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Great.
So
Thank you.
I would
so
like
with
to
that-
amend the resolution to read, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Wappinger does hereby authorize the town supervisor to execute memorandum of understanding with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, subject to entering into a separate license agreement to run sleeves under the railroad right-of-way for a potential water line expansion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Casella. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liguori. We appreciate your feedback. Now on the overall consent agenda, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Items for special consideration and new business. Councilwoman Bettina.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Casella.
I do have one thing, Steve. This is the second one we wanted to talk about. It's the bleacher renovation.
Yeah, if I could just speak to the surplus vehicles for a second.
Sure, absolutely.
I had planned to call the auction agency at the end of March, because at that point, the market becomes much stronger and we'd see a much better return
Yes.
on those vehicles. Right now is a poor time in retail.
As we've had the conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure everybody's good with that.
Yes.
But sure, the bleacher renovation, do you want me to just go through this, or?
Yeah, so I was taking a look at that, and I saw your estimate of, $62,000 to replace 27 sets, correct?
Right.
And so I just had some questions for you. If we looked at, looks like it's an internal one, so I'd like to, if this is going to be a real estimate, we should probably get something from a vendor or somebody. I'm not sure how you're planning
Well,
on doing
that's
this.
how I got these.
Okay, so who's the vendor?
Oh, boy. I can see their logo, but I can't put the letters to it. It's a vendor that I've used in the past to do the previous renovations out there. They've been very good with us. They have all the materials that, coincide with each other to put this together. Excuse me. The galvanizing company is somebody I found online. They're an hour's trip away. They would soak the existing frames. in acid, strip the paint and rust from them, and then they would hot dip them in galvanizing zinc, and that would virtually make them rust-proof. The aluminum would be replacing the wooden seats with aluminum planks, and that's where the major expense is. But after these bleachers are put together, they're maintenance-free. They'll look like new for 50 years or more. We do have some out there now that were purchased that way probably 20, 30 years ago, and they still look new. And this would put an end to the problems that we keep, recurring problems that we keep having with bleachers.
So your
around
team would
town.
do the work?
I'm sorry?
Your team would do the work?
Yes. We disassemble the existing bleachers. I'd cart the frames down to the galvanizing company. Then when they're ready, order the planks and stuff, and we just bolt everything back together.
Any idea how long it would take?
Generally, you could put a bleacher together each day. So, if I can get all the materials together right away, and
Looking at a month?
yeah, probably inside of a month.
What I want to do...
I think we did 9 bleachers last year. I didn't put a timer on it, but
And Steve, if you were to buy new bleachers, you would still have to assemble them anyway, correct?
correct. They still have to be assembled, and they would run between $5,000 and $7,500 each to duplicate the size that we're going to renovate.
My concern is, replacing all these, and again, it's a $62,000 expense. You have $10,000 in your budget. I know you said you might get a 12% discount going through this vendor because you did in the past.
Right.
And so we know it would be $55,000 instead of $62,000. So my concern is, number one, does it take away from other projects that you're going to do? Because it's going to take you a month, right, if you're going to do one a
Well,
day.
I mean, this time of year, I can repurpose the grounds crew on that. It won't take us away from other jobs. The grounds crew now is doing some tree and brush work, but I could put them right on this. And
Because we still have a number of projects we need to, take care of that are outstanding. And I don't know, do you think it makes sense to do all of them now, do half now? What's your opinion?
I would like to have the bleachers out of my hair, and, well...
Poor choice of words,
Yeah,
my
I
friend.
just, I'm trying to avoid having to answer these bleacher calls, and just, I'd like to have it done, but if you want to split it into 2 years, that's fine with me, too.
So, Steve, you provided the board with all the information. We now have it on record. We'll have the internal conversation, and we'll be in
Yes.
touch with you.
And I mean, if
to
you
move-
are interested, I'll make some phone calls and get tighter numbers. These were calculated.
If you can get us black and white, I think the town board would appreciate that. This way, we can discuss and just
Well, that's
continue
exactly
to
what
move
I'm looking
forward.
for, because in order for us to, approve
Make a
anything over
decision.
$1,000, you've got to go out to a procurement process. You want to make sure that, again, you have something. I'm sure you got this from the vendor, but if we can actually get a copy of the estimate.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get they'll send me a quote, and then I have to sign the quote if we approve
Can I
it.
ask you this, and just, bear with me here, but if you can get something that shows that the cost for buying new is $5,000 a piece, just so we have something that we can, because I'm looking at stuff here, and I see them for $2,000 a piece, not assembled. So, again, depending on what you're looking at versus what I took a look at, again, I just want to have something that says it's comparable to what we have today, so replacing or refurbishing versus brand new. So that's what I'd like to see if you could.
Okay.
Can you have that for that meeting on the 29th?
Was that, this month?
Yes,
2 weeks from
please.
now?
That's our next meeting.
That's our next meeting.
Together for that
It's
meeting.
actually longer because we rescheduled, so it's on the
Gotcha.
29th.
Yeah, usually it's the 26th, but
Yep.
Mr. Cavacina.
Maybe while the attorney's
A
here,
few of us
I
did,
can
yes.
ask, the material cost on this is above the $35,000 threshold, but we would be doing the labor, in-house. And again, this is a company that we've used in the past with great success. It's tough to get somebody that has all the parts that work
Here,
together.
Steve, if we can have that conversation offline just to
Okay.
move the meeting along.
All right, yep,
Mr.
no
Liguori will be
problem.
here right after the meeting, and
Very
we
good.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I'd just like to note that we did send out an update via Wappinger Delivery. It's also on our town social media about the upcoming snowstorm that we're going to have tonight into tomorrow. I was on a conference call today with the supervisors and mayors of the county and the county executive and the county emergency response, as well as on the phone throughout the day with our town highway superintendent, Mike Sheehan. We will be deploying highway assets tonight around 2 a.m. We're expecting the snow to start just before 3 o'clock. Our crews will be going out all night long and into the early morning. We're anticipating this to be a pretty long storm with some heavy snow, potentially 1 to 2 inches an hour. Again, we all live in New York, so this is nothing new to us, but potentially looking at 4 inches on the lower side and maybe a foot on the higher side. Again, we will be out and about with the highway department tonight. I will be joining the highway department probably in the early morning hours and doing a riding along, and we'll be making determinations on cancellations and closures and things like that. So again, please stay safe. What? Yes, town of Wappinger closures. Town of Wappinger closures. Just because the school district closed doesn't mean that the town does. But again, we'll be watching that very, very closely. With that, do I have a motion to enter into executive session for legal advice on pending, active, future litigation and on matters concerning personnel?
I make a motion to go in executive session.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilwoman Bettina, second by Councilman Casella. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much. Folks, we will not be returning in public session. From executive session, we will be providing the town clerk with the time that we finish. Thank you very much.
Thank you.